Look at your hand. Or your mother's. Somewhere on it there is probably a diamond, and you believe it means love, forever. Here is the strange part. You never decided that. Nobody alive decided that. It was decided for you, by a single company, in a single panicked meeting in 1938. This is not a story about a rock. It is a story about how an idea gets planted in a billion minds so deeply that you mistake it for your own. And once you see how it was done, you are going to start wondering what else you believe. That was simply sold to you. Start with a question almost no one asks. Why a diamond? Not a ruby? Not an emerald? Why does a colorless stone mean, I will love you forever? Dig into the history and the answer is unsettling. Because for almost all of human history, it didn't. Ordinary people did not propose with diamonds. The tradition you think is ancient is younger than the automobile. So someone invented it. The question is who? And the answer starts not with a romantic, but with a man in serious financial trouble. In 1871, on a South African farm, children find a shiny pebble. Within months, 50,000 men are tearing the largest hand-dug hole on Earth out of the ground. And here is the problem buried inside that discovery. Diamonds were valuable because they were rare. Suddenly, they weren't. A flood of stones was about to make them worthless. One man understood that, before anyone else. His name was Cecil Rhodes. He didn't dig. He bought, mines, then claims, then rivals, until by 1888, a single company controlled almost every diamond on the planet. De Beers. But controlling the supply only controls the price. It cannot make you want the thing. And by the 1930s, that was the real crisis. The Great Depression had gutted luxury. Diamond sales were collapsing. De Beers sat on a mountain of stones the world had stopped buying. So they did something no mining company had ever tried. They didn't hire someone to sell diamonds. They hired someone to rewrite what people feel. The firm was N.W. Ayer, and their assignment was not advertising. It was engineering. Engineering a belief from scratch and selling it back to the public as if it had always been there. Watch the method, because it is still used on you today. They put diamonds on the hands of movie stars. They planted newspaper stories about celebrity engagements, always mentioning the size of the stone. They sent lecturers into high schools to teach teenage girls what a real proposal looked like. They were manufacturing memories of a tradition that never existed. And in 1947, a tired copywriter named Frances Garrity scribbled 4 words that would reorganize human desire. A diamond is forever. She wasn't even sure it was any good. She nearly threw it away. 4 words, written by an exhausted woman at midnight, became the most celebrated advertising line of the entire 20th century. Not because it described a product, but because it rewired one. Now, here is the trick almost everyone misses. Forever is not romance. It is a business strategy disguised as romance. If a diamond is forever the best, you never sell it. And if no one ever sells theirs, there is no second-hand market. And if there is no second-hand market, there is no way for anyone to discover what a used diamond is actually worth. In one sentence, they made the stone feel priceless and quietly removed your ability to ever find out it was overpriced. The customer became the vault. Then they went further. How much should a man spend? There was no answer. So they invented one. 1 month's salary. Then 2. Then 3. A number with no logic, accepted by an entire planet, and it didn't stop at America. In 1967, they walked into Japan, a country with no history of diamond engagement rings. And within 20 years, 7 of 10 Japanese brides wore one. They weren't selling a product anymore. They were franchising a feeling. So go to a jewelry counter and try the experiment that breaks the spell. Try to sell your diamond back. You will be offered a fraction of what you paid, often less than half. The investment was never an investment. It was a one-way door, and they built it on purpose. Think about how strange that is. A new car loses value the second you drive it off the lot, and everyone knows it. A diamond loses more, and almost no one does. The jeweler who sold it to you will, years later, offer you a fraction to take it back. That missing money didn't vanish. It was the markup, the price of the feeling. And you paid it gladly because you were never really buying a stone. You were buying a story about yourself. And to keep the rarity believable, the cartel did things that were, in America, literally a crime. For most of the 20th century, De Beers could not legally operate in the United States, its biggest market, so it worked through fronts, and its executives risked arrest on U.S. soil. When the Soviet Union found a massive diamond field in Siberia, De Beers didn't compete. It secretly bought nearly all of it and hid it in vaults to keep your stone rare. The scarcity you paid a premium for is a decision made in a locked room in London, not a fact of nature. And the price was not only money. As war spread across Africa in the 1990s, armed groups seized diamond fields and traded the stones for weapons. They were called blood diamonds, and they funded atrocities that killed and maimed hundreds of thousands, while the same stones were sold an ocean away as the ultimate symbol of love. It took global outrage just to begin tracing where a diamond came from. Then the lie met something it couldn't buy or bury: a machine. Scientists learned to grow diamonds in weeks, chemically, optically, physically identical, for a fraction of the price. The one thing that supposedly made a diamond precious, its rarity, was exposed as the fiction it always was. De Beers spent years insisting lab-grown stones weren't real, then quietly launched its own brand. You can now print forever in a box. So here is what should unsettle you. One company invented the idea that a rock equals love, set the price you should pay for it, and convinced an entire planet for 80 years. They didn't manipulate a market. They manufactured an emotion. And if a feeling that powerful, that personal, could be built in a boardroom and sold back to you as your own, how many other things you believe were simply sold to you the same way? The ring isn't the story. The machine that put it on your hand is, and it is still running. Next time, we pull apart another one you were told to want. Subscribe, because once you see the machine, you can't unsee it.